Today is November 19th, 2025. The landscape of clean energy development has grown more complex. A critical new term for every developer is FEOC. FEOC stands for Foreign Entity of Concern, a US statutory designation. The United States government created these rules to safeguard public funds. It prevents taxpayer dollars from expanding supply chains controlled by geopolitical rivals. The policy impacts how American clean energy projects are financed and built, because federal tax credits like the ITC and PTC are on the line. Lose eligibility and the project's economics can collapse. FEOC rules push onshoring and friendshoring to secure compliant, resilient supply chains. To determine if a company is a FEOC, the government applies 3 tests. Failing any one is enough. Jurisdiction test: is the entity incorporated, headquartered, or primarily operating in a covered nation? The covered nations today are China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, including qualifying subsidiaries. Corporate lineage matters. Subsidiaries can inherit the jurisdiction risk. Control test: if a covered nation's government controls 25% or more ownership, voting, or board seats, the entity is a FEOC. Control can be direct or indirect, formal, or through influence mechanisms. Contractual control: agreements that grant a covered nation effective control can trigger FEOC status. Think licensing that mandates processes or offtake and supply terms steering operations. Together, these tests form a net to catch foreign influence across structures and contracts. Due diligence must go beyond headquarters, map the corporate family, shareholders, boards, and key agreements. The 25% control test is a cornerstone and requires deep ownership analysis. It includes governments, senior political figures, close relatives, and entities under their control. If their combined stake hits 25% of equity, voting rights, or board seats, the entity is a FEOC. Developers must trace ownership up the chain, not just their direct counterparts. A manufacturer in Vietnam or Malaysia may look safe at first glance, but a state-owned enterprise from a covered nation holding 30% triggers FEOC via the control test. Sourcing from that manufacturer would taint the project's ITC and PTC eligibility. The rule also spans investors. Verify funds are not FEOC controlled through aggregated LP stakes. Obtain cap tables and sworn attestations to prove freedom from foreign government control. Rigorous documentation and audits are essential to protect tax credit eligibility. Beyond ownership, FEOC rules drill into components and raw materials. Projects must meet non-FEOC content thresholds to claim tax credits. Requirements phase in from 2026 and ratchet up over time. Solar modules must source key inputs from non-FEOC manufacturers. An initial 40% non-FEOC content threshold, increasing thereafter. Battery systems face higher thresholds tied to value attribution, a starting 55% non-FEOC share that also rises through the decade. Trace not just cells, but the minerals within them to compliant origins. Obtain detailed attestations and cost breakdown letters robust enough for an IRS audit. Meticulous record keeping is the proof that unlocks and defends tax credit eligibility. Navigating FEOC is essential for modern solar and battery projects. Build compliance into the project from day one. First, conduct exhaustive supply chain vetting beyond Tier 1. Map every component and critical mineral to source. Second, perform structural audits on investors, contractors, and providers. Confirm no covered nation holds 25% via equity votes or board seats. Third, implement rigorous contract review to remove any effective control clauses. Clarity and limits in agreements reduce FEOC risk. Finally, maintain an organized, audit-ready evidence file. Track supply chains, audit partners, review contracts, and keep pristine records to secure credits and ensure your project's future.